You're welcome to day 16, and today we're going to be focusing on personal branding. What does it mean to brand yourself, and what's the purpose? What are you aiming to achieve? I'll tie this to where we started the journey from. This is focused towards your personal growth and professional development. So, when we're talking about personal branding, we are talking about how you can use your personal brand to enhance or support your personal growth and professional development. So we need to dive deep to see what it entails, the concept of personal branding. How do you go about it? How do you leverage on it in order for you to be able to achieve your growth? So, since we started talking about the factor of opportunity in growth, that's the O factor in growth, which stands for opportunity. We would have to be looking at different strategies. We have to look at different methods, different tools, techniques, concepts that can enable you to seize opportunity for your growth and your professional development. So one of such is personal branding. And we'll now narrow our perspective down to um, how you can really have the right perception that stand you out of the crowd. Okay, so that's what this session today is all about. So let's get started. Just imagine the world we live in. Currently, we have over 8 billion people living in this world. Over 8 billion people living in this world. And in Africa alone, we have over 50 countries. I can't remember the specific number, but we have over 50 countries. And the youth population in Africa currently is over 400,000, I think about 450 million youth population. And we are living in a world where the way things are organized, the way the entire environment is, you are naturally going to be stifled. You are naturally going to compete for opportunities. You are naturally going to, you know, hustle. You are going to be entangled in the bustling, that is being outplayed, the chaos, the confusion that's unfortunately, um, characterize the environment or the world where we live in. However, there's a whole responsibility that is laid on individuals, right, to decide in terms of you pursuing your growth, pursuing your purpose, to decide whether you want to participate in the chaos, whether you want to experience the confusion, whether you want to participate in the hustling, in the bustling, in the competitive way of living or culture, as it were, or the competitive mindset, as it were, right? You remember when we're talking about growth mindset, I clearly explained this, that growth mindset is totally different from competitive mindset. So you need to make that decision. And it's because of that decision that you are making that necessitates you to consider your personal branding, to consider the kind of perception that you put out there to people, because that in itself will give you certain leverages or certain accesses to opportunity, which would naturally not come by. Okay. You ask yourself, when you go in for an interview, you're looking for a job as a graduate or as a young professional, they will tell you that the opportunity is open for so many people. I remember my first attempt at sitting for an interview, seeking for a job opportunity. We're almost about, if I'm not mistaken or exaggerating, we are over 100 young graduates from different disciplines that applied for the job and went for the 5 stages of the interview, and they kept dropping and dropping until some of us were opportune to get to the final stage of the interview. So that's the nature of the world. That's the nature of the environment where we live in. And it's not just only limited to one space. or location in time. Everywhere you turn to, either you are in Africa, you are in Europe, you are in Asia, anywhere you turn to, or even in the Atlantic region, anywhere you turn to is the same, because that's the way the world is wired. However, it is your responsibility, right, to decide on which side of divide you are going to be. For the sake of this session and the fact that you are working on this journey with me, my candid advice to you would be that you decide not to participate in the competitive nature of living in this chaotic and confused world. You can always create a niche for yourself in whatever dimension or area of life that you so choose to pursue your purpose. So it's a matter of choice. You decide not to hustle, you decide not to um, engage in bustling, you decide not to engage in all those competitive stress. And that's why you need to work on yourself and know what exactly is your public leverage. Okay, so let's first of all look at what personal branding is all about. Personal branding is just a concept that propels you to promote yourself. Okay, it enables you to see the need for you to have the true perception, the true perception. You know, when we're talking about emotional intelligence, we're talking about you being able to manage your own emotion first, then others' emotions. So because there's always two parties that are involved, either in the individuality or in groups. Individuality in the sense that it might be intra, or in groups it can be inter, right? So there are always two parties that are involved when it comes to growth, because you can't determine or largely directly influence. I'm using these words carefully, so I want you to follow my thoughts, my line of thoughts. You can't directly influence the way people will perceive you or the way people will take impression, usually first impression, and they say first impression lasts longer. You usually won't have the direct influence on that, right? The way someone wants to see is how they will see. The way someone wants to believe is how they will believe, right? So one of the mechanism or one of the ways by which you can have an indirect influence on that, on people, is what we call the personal branding. The way you allow people to perceive, the way you allow people to take impression the first time they're meeting you, or subsequent times, or the sequence at which they meet you each time you interact, or you showcase. Some you don't even directly interact, you just show up in space and they pick impression, they see you and all of that. Have you ever imagined whether someone had ever told you this before? Someone who had not been that very close within your close reports, unfortunately after some time got into your close reports and then gave a comment like, "Oh, I thought you are this." Maybe the person didn't know your religion, and all of a sudden you just say, "Oh, I thought you're a Christian. Oh, I thought you're a Muslim. Oh, I thought you are this," and all of that. Or someone doesn't know your profession, and, "Oh, I thought you're a medical doctor," and all of that. These are examples of perception. These are examples of what people pick from you. And you usually don't have direct command or direct influence. You can't tell people what they should know about you. Even when you say it sometimes verbally or you publish it verbally, onus still lies on them for them to process it internally through their emotional intelligence and and then be able to make informed decisions by themselves, right? And it's through that they will be able to engage you. So it combines a number of things, all the different aspects of your life, the different disposition, expression of your disposition that we've been talking about, your skill sets, your competencies, your experience, your personality type, your character, your traits, your the residue of your four compartments of self. All of these things are part of what you will see when you're talking about personal branding. So in a short word, personal branding really bring you out to the public, everything about you, right? Brings it out to the public in a concise manner so that people can easily relate with it. And because of the importance that this concept carries about you, so that you are not judged wrongly or you are not perceived negatively, you want to ensure that you present the best part of yourself, you showcase, you exhibit, you promote the best of yourself. And like what I mentioned yesterday, the best of yourself still remains your strength. So you want to promote your strength, not your weaknesses. And see how some people foolishly act because of ignorance, because of lack of understanding of what personal brand is. By the time they are packaging themselves, by the time they are, showcasing themselves, promoting themselves, putting themselves out there in the public, what people will see is the brevity of their weaknesses, how brave they are about their weaknesses, you know. So, and of course, that is what people will help them celebrate. And someone will tell you, this is who I am. I mean, if you have ever encountered people in those kind of scenario before, someone displaying sheer foolishness, someone displaying, lack of humility and all of that, and they'll still be telling you, they'll still be proud about their weaknesses and taking pride over that negative disposition. So you need to be very careful, and that's why this conversation is very important to you, so that you can reevaluate your perception that people are being given, right? um, Albeit positive or negative, constructive or destructive. You need to, from today's session, be able to appraise and do some kind of personal rethink, okay, and see how you need to reconstruct your personal branding in such a way that what is being promoted is the authentic you, is the real you, is a strong you, and nothing else. Okay. How important is this? Is as important as how you intend to fulfill your purpose, how to the extent of the fulfillment you want to attain on your purpose, right? Because if you follow through, we talked about relationships throughout last week, that these are levelers that you can, I mean, I even went to the point of mentioning to you that they are more like destiny helpers. You need relationship for you to succeed. And by the time you begin to build rapport, you begin to put people within your close niche, to create some level of vulnerability so that they can come in as support groups to assist you in pushing forward in your journey, right? Part of the things that will bring that kind of attraction or alignment might be as a result of the perception, things they know about you. I mean, you just meet someone for the first time and having few conversations, or you've been reading. This happens a lot to me. People go on my LinkedIn page, they read my profile, and they are fascinated, they're attracted, they have strong perception and they just want to meet me. While some goes to my website, they read things about me or they attend my conference, or I mean, people just get to meet me from a distance, and based on my profile or my outreach, they just want to meet. And from there, relationship begins, and you begin to see how you can define the boundaries and put people within the rapport and all of that. This is how powerful branding is, right? So if you don't do it the way it should be done according to the principles that underscore the concepts, you're not going to get the right result. And this, in the long run, may mar or destroy your pursuit in fulfillment. So many people, gifted, talented, extraordinary, intelligent with high IQ, end up not being fulfilled as a result of them not being able to approach their personal branding from a constructive or from a positive perspective. So I'm hoping that you're going to get the right import from this session today and be able to set your personal branding in the right mood in order for you to be able to achieve the greatest result from it. Part of the benefits of this PB will be that you are going to eventually position yourself to seize opportunities as they abound, right? Everywhere you turn, there are opportunities. every stage of life you get to, the opportunities. Opportunities are never lacking at any point in time. And that is why it is called life. Life is filled with opportunities. So it now depends on your positioning. It depends on your capacity. It depends on the level of your competencies, whether you are going to seize or optimize or maximize the opportunities, right? So yesterday when we were talking about your competencies, determining your skill sets, engaging in learning and all of that, is because you need to build something that is formidable enough for you to be able to promote within yourself. Because if you don't have what to promote, it's just like you don't have a product and you want to promote your company. So what exactly are you going to be promoting? So you must be able to create a product that is promotable, that is worthy of marketing, that is worthy of putting out there in the public. And that's exactly what it is when you are trying to build yourself, when you are trying to know yourself, and then be able to strengthen and optimize the areas where you are strong. So this is what personal brand is going to give you. And the more people perceive good things about you or give constructive criticism about you, the better you become, right? The better you become and the faster you're going to grow. Because I told you there are 4 parts of yourself which you need to always put to bear at every point in time to determine the rate at which you're going to grow. Your known self, your blind self, and of course, your revealed self. So at every point in time, you are always at home with your known self. And depending on the strength you have in managing relationships through EQ, right, you can be very, very good and strong in unknown self, right? But when it comes to revealed self, when it comes to blind self, you need personal branding for you to be able to come to terms with your blind self, because it might just be someone you will never meet in your life, that you will never have any encounter with, that has a particular perception about you and just give a comment once in a lifetime, and that's it. And that gives you a total transformation and access to what you have been trying to connect with about it. So, I mean, this thing works like magic, but I don't call it magic because it's an intentional effort you need to make for you to be able to connect with it. I call it manifestation. I call it transformational points, right? It is only when you think you are not doing what you're supposed to do and some things happen that you can say it's maybe kind of magical, but really magic for me doesn't necessarily exist, right? And that's why you need to be intentional about living. And at best, you can just say that some of these things are transcendental because they can just be simply act of God, right? They can just be simply act of God. And that's when God decides to intervene, you know. And I'm sure that when it comes to your revealed self, these are part of ways by which God wants to show you more about yourself beyond what either people who are having perception about you or even you yourself and your relationship can ever, reveal to yourself. So these are important things that you need to take note of about personal branding. I'm going to play this video, and the next speaker is going to be telling you more about personal branding for you to see what this concept is all about, just to emphasize on some of the things I've spoken about. Again, I think I made a mistake, which I will correct quickly. I did not share the sound, so if I played it, you won't hear. And now you're going to hear. So the next voice you're going to hear is to explain more about personal branding.
If I showed you this logo or this logo, you'll know what it is for, the quality of the product, and probably who it's aimed at. Now, if I showed you these faces, you'd probably have a similar experience. That, in its very purest form, is what a personal brand is. But really, it goes so much deeper, and it's an incredibly powerful way to market. So let's dive in to learn more. Have you ever Googled your name? Well, of course you have. Did what pop up represent what you want to be known for? Or did an old man pop up like it did when I gave it a shot? A personal brand is your unique mixture of skills, experience, personality, and know-how. These features promote you and tell your brand story reflecting your conduct, behaviour, spoken and unspoken words and attitudes. It's basically your professional image, how you look in real life combined with how the media portray you and the impression that people gain from the information they find about you online. These can develop organically and potentially very, very quickly, or you can work on your brand to portray to the world the person you want to be. But why would you want to become a personal brand? Well, a personal brand allows you to highlight your strengths and passions. It helps people to feel like they know you better, which means they trust you more, even if they've never met you. Politicians rely on this when it comes to elections. People vote for the people they feel they know and trust. Some benefits you'll find from building a personal brand is people will buy from you without you needing to sell overtly. They'll purchase what you provide, recommend you more to their friends, and help you build more of an audience. So, why is personal branding so important? Building a strong personal brand is the key to being considered influential. It helps you stand out from the pack, and it's what makes you memorable. Think back to the examples I showed you at the start of the video. If I showed you these faces, you'd probably have a similar experience. You probably knew who Richard Branson was and probably had an opinion of him that made him stand out when we showed you the image of him. The reason this is more important than ever is the distrust built by millennials to advertising. 84% of them don't trust adverts or the brands that create them, yet they're prepared to believe people they know, even business people behind brands they don't like. This has caused a major reshuffle in the way businesses market themselves and why influencer marketing has become so successful over recent years. Richard Branson mentions in his book Losing My Virginity that he noticed people were more interested in him than they were Virgin, which is why he attempted so many stunts to remain in the public eye. What was good for him was good for the company. Think of Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, even Donald Trump. Business has merged with celebrity culture. Here's some things to consider for building your own personal brand. To start off, you need to self-reflect. It's very hard to describe yourself. It's easier to explain how you want to be and go from there. If your main goal is to improve your business using your personal brand, you need to get a solid grip of who your target audience is. They need to match. There's no point building an audience of men in their 20s if your company sells makeup brushes. Really, you want to build a reputation as someone who cares about the types of people that are potential or existing customers. The key is to come across as human and, as the name might suggest, personal. This allows you to de-emphasize selling to appear more authentic. The best way to build a personal brand is on social media nowadays. You need to be where your target market spends their time and create open accounts for them to follow and engage with. So that's the personal side. What about the brand side? Well, you need to decide on a consistent color scheme, fonts, icons, and graphics, and you should use these everywhere. So they should appear on your website, social account, business cards, and anything printed. Carry business cards with you everywhere. Yep, it's old school, but they still work. If you're representing a business, they should match the colors and fonts of that too. You should also consider what you wear in public situations. Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg went for the same outfit every time they're in public. It eliminated a choice and saved on ironing. It's a bit grubby though. So, if you're a CEO of a bank, don't turn up in shorts and a tank top. The final thing to think about is your actions. They need to match your brand. Like pretty much every area of marketing, consistency is key here. If you look the part and turn up in the right places, you need to act the part too. People's expectations of a politician are different from, let's say, a rock star. If a politician were found taking drugs, there'd be an uproar and trust would be lost. Yeah, if a rock star got busted, nobody would bat much of an eyelid. Okay, so you might not be under the same spotlight, but you still need to consider this and act like the person you promote yourself to be, which will be a lot easier if that's actually who you are. Be authentic, don't try to be a saint if you're not, it'll all come out in the wash. It's easy to spot a fake. And if you want to check out your own personal brand's health score, then have a look at the link in the description to use our tool. Just type in your Instagram account and await the glorious data. If you want to learn more about growing your own personal brand, then watch this video here to master Instagram. Don't forget to hit the link and subscribe as well. You'll have 3 videos a week that will help you grow your personal brand, market, and more thrust.
Okay, sorry for the glitch. I think that's part of what I was trying to explain to you earlier about
If I showed you this logo or this
stuff, not in fact, the second video did not even embed my slide, so I didn't bother to push for it further. So what I will do, I will share the 2 links for the videos on YouTube so that in your leisure you can watch it. It would have been nice if it had been shown on this session through the slide, so that when you're watching the session all over again, you don't have to go outside of the slide for you to watch the video. But hey, I'm going to share it so that that doesn't take away our time. So if you listen carefully, part of what he mentioned about is giving you some kind of common scenarios, experience, or personal branding that we see, which I mean, everywhere within our governance system, you see, especially in part of the world, and here where we have democracy, you know, you have politicians. I'm sure if I mention this, we'll all relate with it quickly. Who can tell me what the personal brand of our current president Nigeria is? Ahmed Bola Tinubu. Anyone? Can you tell what his personal brand is?
Ebi local. Ebi local.
Yeah. So you see now, so this is a popular perception. It's a popular perception people have about him. And then he takes it a step further, which he had kept for a long time, ever since I've known him in the early 2000s, or late 1990s. He has these insignia, that he converted into symbolism on his clothing, his what's it called, his cap, headwear, and all of that. You see that infinity sign, right? All these things are what makes up the brand called Tinubu, right? The brand called Tinubu. So it's given that sometimes you continue to push, like the speaker was saying, the last speaker said, sometimes when you have a very strong brand, you don't even need to sell anything. All you just need to do is just push it out there, you promote it, and it's a sellable brand, and it's I mean, the level of acceptance will make it push and push. Okay, I can see Chris hand up. Please, you can unmute and let's have you. Hello, Chris. I can see your hand. You can unmute. Oh, okay, you dropped your hand. So personal brand is very, very important. So the question is, how do you now define your personal brand? How do you come to terms with your brand? How do you go about developing your own personal brand? You've come to realize who you are, your personality type, you know your weakness, you know your strength, you know your purpose, you've set your goals, right? You've made your plans. Now you're saying before you start running with your plans, you need to, so that there are certain velocity that you don't need to apply for you to attain certain heights in terms of acceleration. Your brand can be a leverage for you, right? Um, so it's not like, what we always say in my local parlance, that hard work is not commensurate to the amount of remuneration, right? They'll tell you the pressure you apply in working in terms of to define hard work is not going to be the same measure at which you will earn money at the end of the day. So those that even engage in laborious work are not usually the richest at all. So sometimes people just sit in the four corners of their homes 24/7 and they are cashing out. They're just making money, cool money, right, without doing much and all of that. So it's all about the drive on personal brand, how you're able to establish your personal brand. So we need to see how this works out. Number one, you need to start from your value system. I mean, many books or many conversation that you see out there don't usually emphasize on this. But for me, this is the starting point of defining your personal brand, right? You need to start from your value system. What are your values? Those values that you listed from, I think, day 4 or so, or day 5, the assignment, the task. You need to ensure that you, first of all, bring it to the table. Your value system, your core beliefs, you cannot compromise on this. You cannot push it off. And I will give you an example of why this is the most important element that you need to put on the table when you are defining your personal brand, because it is very easy. Don't forget, it's about public perception, and you would not have the time to start correcting a wrong perception. You won't have the time or it will cost so much for you to start doing PR to correct a wrong perception. So you want to let it be a right perception at first sight, right? First impression lasts longer. So you want to ensure that your value system is what you always put way ahead of yourself. And that's why I emphasized critically that you must get your value system right. It's not something that you have to keep changing every now and then, right? Your value system are more like a statutory uh, uh, um, element of your life, a statutory part of your life that you rather grow progressively on them, not that they keep changing as such, except if you have not done the needful from this moment. But because you are going through this journey, you should be able to set the right value system for yourself, which you will embrace eventually. So you put this before. An example I want to give is when you look at the world we live in, the reason why many people easily compromise their values is because of by the time they step into the public and they begin to have different perception, they can easily be tossed to and fro. They can easily flow with the value system of the world, which defines certain mode by which behaviors, cultures, the emotional inclination, intellectual inclination, all of these different dimensions of life are to be governed, right? So there will always be this contest, there will always be this rivalry between what you accept to be your own norm and your own way of life and your own belief system and the one that the world would define for you. And if care is not taken, because this perception is going to come from the world, you will have to sometimes succumb to theirs. And that will mean that you are compromising. And that will mean that your fulfillment of purpose may be naturally impossible. I'm sure when you look at some of these norms or some of these ideologies that they try to impress on people, right, to define their personal brand, part of it might be this LGBTQ plus and blah, 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 blah. The list is endless. It's just kind of like crazy when you see the way it's open-ended, indefinite sexual orientation, right? Then you also have the decision, that people have to make, like, right, for themselves, as simple as even the way you dress. And we know in our local parlance, they'll tell you the way you dress is the way you'll be addressed. These are forms of perception. These are things that necessitate, input into perception. And unfortunately, you don't stand a chance, for you to be able to excuse your decision, right? So one need to be very careful. And that's why value system is very, very important. Then the other thing is now for you to look deep into your skills, your skill level. Okay, you have to look at what are your skill sets. Again, we have itemized this, we have highlighted them. What are those skills that you think are very relevant to you at this current level? The next level you want to move to, what are the skills that you think you need to acquire? So that becomes part of the goals you need to set for yourself for this year, so that in a short time, in a long time, you want to ensure that you acquire those skills. And the skills can also come in form of you attaining some level of certification or competencies. Competencies are proofs that you actually have those skills, practical skills in solving problems or in delivering values to people, right? So it can be just like a certification. It can be like you having a degree program or something, but something that shows that gives a proof of the level of your competencies, right? The level of your practical value delivery. So all these things will resonate, when you begin to create brand around yourself, around your personality, in order for people to be able to relate with you and get some level of perception. Then the other thing is now for you to look at soft skills. You know, in your soft skill sets, you can look at effective communication, you look at the power of your negotiation, you look at your critical thinking, your creativity, all of this.
Hello.
Sorry, I was muted. Please, at what point did you stop hearing me? Hello, can you hear me?
We were mentioning soft skill when it's when
Oh, great. So I haven't gone too far. Sorry, my hand mistakenly pressed the mute. So I said one of the other things I've mentioned about your value system, I've mentioned about your skill set, competencies, and all of that. So the other one is you considering soft skills, right? Your soft skills, example like effective communication, your effective leadership skill, your critical thinking, your ability to be creative, your creativity, your power of negotiation, your power of influence, all of these things are part of what you are going to define within your personal brand, right? And if you're lacking in any of this at any degree, that will not resonate or be impactful enough so that you will have that right impression at first sight. You need to fine tune them, you need to sharpen them. And sometimes you might want to even uh, 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 temporarily outsource to leverage. What I mean by outsourcing is, for instance, creativity. I mean, you may not necessarily have uh, a creative skill, but you can actually outsource it. Imagine if you want to design a logo for yourself, for your brand. You don't necessarily have to know how to design a logo at this stage, but it's very important because it's going to also speak to your brand. So you can outsource that. Why over a period of time you have to now learn how to do that. I mean, as long as you are going to retain the brand. And why some of these things require some level of professionalism is because once you put your brand out there, like I said, it becomes a public relation. It becomes a public view. It becomes a public matter, like they say in politics. So you want to be so, so, so sure of what you are putting out there so that you don't have to come and be retracting, or you have to come and be giving excuses, or you have to come and be giving some public communication in order to correct a wrong impression. So sometimes you might want to also uh, um, engage subject matter experts to help you create some of these high level uh, uh, um, elements of part of your brand, right? So that's why I had to mention about the issue of soft skills. And of course, even in engaging SMEs, in creating part of your elements of your brand, you also need to know how to negotiate. This one you can outsource. You need to know how to communicate with people. These also you can outsource. There are certain things that people can even be so convinced about your brand that you're trying to create that they can do pro bono. They will tell you, we believe in you, we believe in your vision, we believe in who you are, and this is going to be what will control. I've personally done it for some people, right? I feel this is the only way I can do to support the person's growth and be able to have the right brand that'll be put out there. So I mean, I'll go all out of my ways to put, and it's also part of one's personality type to you give that support, you assist, you help other people. It's not everybody that is inclined towards helping, but it's also part of some people's personality type, characteristic of their personality types to always help. So you will always be able to now come in contact with some of these people who will support you and help you. Then the other thing which you need to also bring to bear when you're trying to define your brand is to determine the industry where you're going to function, where you're going to be positioned, because opportunities in life respect positioning. Even in business management, we talk about positioning in the market. The market is all over. The sky is the beginning of the limit. Every business has the potential to thrive, right? So it now depends on how you refine your business case and business proposal with respect to your market positioning. So the same thing with your brand. Your brand can sell anywhere they place you on planet Earth, right? As long as you are living, as long as you understand your purpose has 100% potential to be fulfilled. So it now depends on you understanding where you need to be, the location, the position in time, in space, where that brand is required, where the brand is needed to solve the problem, to deliver the value. If you miss that, then chances are that whatever you're going to be doing elsewhere is going to be that you're going to be a misplacement. You're going to be someone that will have to struggle to really make impact or to make sense out of your life. So it's very, very key. For instance, someone who has a very strong brand that is inclined towards engineering And just because the person does not know how to go through all the assessment and personality type tests, everything that we've done, and all the conversations we've had on relationship building and all of that, and then found himself or herself in another field, like maybe health sciences or um, social sciences or something like that, at the end of the day, the person will struggle to achieve anything. The person was going to struggle to be able to fulfill purpose. It might even be what attracted the person into that other position in life or other industry is because of the attraction of money, the remuneration, right? So by the time the person get there, you see that money is not what's going to bring fulfillment. Yeah, you'll be getting the money, but there's not going to be fulfillment because your brand is not selling, right? So you have to be keen and you have to be focused on knowing where you need to stand and you are there. And that's where you place your brand, right? Then the other thing is now how you set your brand within the context of your purpose, right? In terms of you creating your mission statement, in terms of you determining what your value proposition is, which is now the next thing I'm going to talk about. What your unique value proposition is, what we call UVP, right? Because your major selling point is going to be the way you have decided through your value system to deliver value to people. So your brand carries more like it's a summary of everything about your life and is speaking on your behalf in essential. You are not there. Is unlike if you are to give a pitch to people, right? You have spoken either verbally or non-verbally and you've walked away. So people, the jury, which is now the world now, which is now the public, are going to criticize you. They are going to judge you based on what they've heard. Either you miscommunicated with them or they misinterpreted what they heard and all of that. So those are all the things. So you want to have a very strong, striking, and convincing proposition. You want to ensure that what you are delivering is so strong and so driving. I mean, it's just so striking. I mean, when people watch, they can't take their eyes away from it. You know, those are the kind of things that you want to portray, you want to promote, you want to present. And to do that, again, is just for you to ensure that it's focused on your strength. Okay, it's focused on your strength. If it's something you are best at, not just good at, you are best at it. Nobody else can do the same way you would deliver that. I mean, these are elements that will showcase what your strength are. Like I said yesterday, your passion, you know, determining what those true passions are, whether someone is paying you off for it to deliver or not, they are going to be part of things that will promote this strong impression that you need to make and the kind of perception what people want to have out of you. Then the way you also create your mission statement, right? Simple, concise, and just on point. I mean, it explains exactly. Let me give you an example of a mission statement, right? In business, when you look at MTN, can someone remind us what MTN mission statement is? Their UVP of MTN. I mean, this is a popular brand in business. Anybody or
Everywhere
any
you
brand
go.
you know? Yeah, thank you. That's very very correct. Bravo, that's very very correct. Everywhere you go, and that's why currently in Nigeria they have the largest subscriber base across the telecom industry. Not even the indigenous Globalcom has the largest subscriber base. MTN has the largest subscriber base, and they have the widest coverage in the country. In fact, in my estate, they are just bringing in 5G network, you know, to install the infrastructure and all of that. So the focus is they want to reach every living soul. So anywhere you turn on planet Earth, you must be able to connect through their network, right? And they're able to just, in a simple word, I mean, simple sentence, everywhere you go, it says it all, right? Then they now combine it with consistency of some other elements like the color brand, you know, the text and the font brand, their logo, which is now their symbolism, their signal. I mean, all of these things are part of what exemplify their mission statement. It propels, it showcases, you know, what exactly the mission statement is all about in that simple terms. So this has to be part of what you need to showcase when you are developing your UVP, right? You don't want to be ambiguous. You don't want to be controversial. You don't want to be meaningless. You don't want to be out of focus. And you just don't want to be celestial. You have to be here on earth, things that people can easily relate with, not the things angels will relate with. Because angels are not the one controlling earth, right? They are not the ones that will give perception to your brand. So these are very fundamental things you need to understand. And of course, you have to ensure that you yourself have to believe in your brand before you can expect another person to believe in your brand, meaning you have to believe in yourself. That's why I was emphasizing yesterday that you must be able to come to terms with your true nature, your true passion, your true interest, not presenting pseudo. I've met people that all their life they've been living a false life. All their life, it's always about lying, 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 and they are easy to tell. I mean, if you have a very high EQ, you can easily tell because it doesn't just add up. And you know, one thing about the behavior of lies or liars is you will always want to cover lie with lie, right? And that is why when you rather want to just avoid this because at the end of the day, it becomes so complex, a chain that you just don't want to entangle yourself with, right? So, I mean, the simplest thing about yourself is what you want to showcase to people. And the way you are going to brand it, like I always tell people that you can even package, terrible things and people will just look at what happens even in the world, people singing nonsense and yet they have followers, they have listeners, they have buyers and all of that, and they keep dancing to nonsense, they keep listening to nonsense, which I don't know, maybe some of us here even listen to some of these songs that are meaningless. They are not they just doesn't even make sense with good behaviors and all of that. But yeah, they have because of the kind of brand they project. So you can see the other path of how people utilize personal brand management for them to be able to get their results. So imagine if people can use it in a negative sense, how much more when you leverage on it for you to be able to attain greater height for yourself in terms of your growth. So this is very important. Then looking at the offshoot of this and how you cannot begin to promote your brand. Imagine you put your brand out there, you've set up your brand. I didn't go deep to tell you how to create the brand, right? Because it's a whole lot of explanation. But this, maybe before I just talk about promotion, using some of these technological tools and all of that, let me just give my own brand as an example. So when I decided to go into entrepreneurship, that's when I started thinking in direction of brand management that I need to, what will stand me out in whatever industry I want to deliver value, business, I need to create a brand because I don't stand a chance to start meddling in competition. I mean, how will I meddle in competition with the brands like Julius Berger, with CCC, with Highland Land, blah, 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 and all of that? No, I mean, I don't stand a chance. And again, because this is business, this is entrepreneurship, this is a profit driven enterprise, you want to look at your capital base also. You want to look at your CapEx, you want to look at the level of your investment. Imagine someone investing $1 billion and you hardly can you tell about investing $100,000. You can't have the same ROI, you can't have the same level of impact. So you need to, that's why I talk about you knowing your position. You need to know exactly the position you want to hold in the market so that it doesn't turn out to be that you are going to be displaced. So what I did then was for me to create a niche and determine exactly where I want to function and what the direction of my impact would look like vis-a-vis my purpose, right? So like I mentioned yesterday, I began to look at the new markets, the new trends in the market and things that in the next 20 years, 25 years, probably, or 30 years, is still going to be very relevant. I don't want to do conventional. I don't want to do uh, um, the the traditional practice kind of like I want to follow the trend of development, the trend of growth, and that will also accelerate my own growth as well because I love creativity. I love aligning uh, uh, um, with newness. I love aligning with something that will make me to showcase resilience, to showcase adaptability. that will promote my sense of, dealing with changes without being affected. So I just delve into green building, which all of these other companies, even up to now, are not really operating in, right? So I mean, it helps when you understand the way you want to pursue your goals, right? So I started building my skills. I started building my competencies in that direction. I had to do a certification, which I mentioned yesterday. I became the fourth person in the country, not just only to become an expert in it, but to also pursue to become both an auditor, of buildings that are certified green with that certification system or rating system, and also to become a faculty. And what that means is I can also train. So imagine if by tomorrow now, better decide that they want to come into that space in the industry, they will have to come to people like me for them to be able to transit into. So, I mean, these are ways by which one can create value for himself and show that kind of level of relevance, and then be able to promote your brand. So, I looked at my logo, look at the need to create my website, look at the need to put myself out there, and then be able to sell whatever it is that new area of um, service delivery or value delivery is all about. Then that is about business. I told you it cuts across different dimensions. You can also look at your spiritual life, right? How do you want to channel growth? Okay, you want to know more about God, you want to have new experience of God. What are the things you need to do? So maybe people have been looking at you as someone who is a lukewarm, right? And you don't want people to hold that kind of perception. So how then do you change your outlook in such a way that people will know that you are serious with God? You are someone who is not just principled, but you highly esteem your value, right? So part of it might just be as simple as you making decisions that there are certain things you will not do, right? You want to be sacrificial. You want to be, you want to uphold self-control. I mean, so these are all the things that will now become part of your brand, right? There are certain things that you will not do, and it's just going to be so, right? So when people begin to see you, then that perception will be like, okay, I mean, he doesn't do this, she doesn't do this. I mean, you won't find him here, you won't find her here. So that's about your spiritual. Then you can also look at your um I mean your social life, right? Your social life might just be simply how you give back, how you impact, not necessarily how you socialize with friends and all of that. Because when people talk about social life, that's all they think about. That it's just all about partying, one bears, just spending time with friends and all that. No, it's also part of your community service, your volunteer service, the streams of you impacting other people. There's even a session that we're going to, I think in the last week, we're going to talk specifically about this, right? Because it's very, very important. It's an important part of your life that also spells fulfillment for you. So these are part of the things that you need to look at individually. So at the end, you can have an integrated brand, right? You can have an integrated brand, just like you have a company that started as just maybe a business name and afterwards transit into a limited liability business or company, okay, with public shares, and then later on become a group of company with certain subsidiaries or many subsidiaries. That's the way life is too. You don't necessarily have to start from the group of companies. All the dimension of your life, if you cannot handle all at the same time in terms of your growth pattern, you can just pick one per time, set the goals, right? And then take it one after the other and build. Once you are growing towards it, you can pick the other one. And at the end of it, you can now integrate. So as you are developing your brand across board, maybe you've now decentralized your brand. So each aspect of your life or dimension of your life now have different brands. Your business have its brand. Your what's it called? Your spiritual life has a brand. Your social life has a brand. Your intellectual life has a brand, and other aspect has a brand. So eventually, you grow up to a point where you can now integrate or unify your brand and make your brand, because your main brand projection is still your purpose, right? And your purpose is not going to be scattered, so to speak. Everything must project and align with your purpose, right? So once you have that unification, once you have that identification with your brand, sorry, your brand with your purpose, then you can now look at ways by which you can centralize the brand in order to avoid confusion. For instance, someone see you in public, see this aspect of your life, maybe your social life. If care is not taken, there's going to be a lot of misgiving if it contradicts, especially in terms of exchange of values, right? The values you use in developing your social brand, the values you use in developing your business brand, the values you use in developing your spiritual brand, all of these things, if they are not unified, if they are not, if there's no singularity across board, there's going to be confusion, and people is going to be saying you have different shades of you, and that is very, very wrong. It's the orientation of the world that they believe that people should have different shades, but in reality, and purpose-driven life does not have uh, uh, um, differentiate. You rather have singularity, because that is what is going to keep you on purpose, so that at any stage and part of your life people interact and engage you with is the same narrative they are going to find. If it's about trust, they can trust you in this area, they can trust you in that area, they can trust you in this other area. If it's about consistency on truth, they'll see you on this truth level here, they're going to see the truth level here, they're going to see the truth. There are some people who are trustworthy in business, but they are not trustworthy in their social life. Some are not trustworthy in their spiritual life, right? So this does not show consistency, and is part of the reasons why people will not fulfill purpose. So you want to guide against all these things. Then you can now talk about how you now promote yourself. If you are not sure, this is a sound of warning as I'm trying to wrap up. This is a sound of warning I want to share. People are so given to rush to social media to start promoting themselves when they don't have proper inclination on their brand yet. Is very, very dangerous, because social media does not forget. I'm sure you can see this at play so much in politics. Someone has said something 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago. Now he's a changed person. He has been rebranded. He has been converted, whatever name you want, he has been transformed, and those things will hurt. Those things are going to bite back. Those things are going to fight back. And unfortunately, you can't retract, you can't repair. You just have to deal with it as a matter of you resolving conflict. And sometimes, because you're now fighting at a higher stage where you have climbed, it might turn to a battle or a warfare that can bring a lot of people down. So you want to be careful. So I always advise people, don't run or rush into social media when you don't have clear understanding on how you want to comport your brand or present your brand, or that you have not even done good justice on your brand before you push it out there. Don't promote something you have not really done good justice to, which is not supposed to be promoted. And once you are convinced that you have a sellable brand, you have, you've understood yourself so well that you just want to stand, to have a PR, you want to have a public relation. Then the next thing is for you to look at those avenues, leveraging on technologies. Their networks, their connections already established with technology. Some of them are even fulfillment of some other people's purposes. The person that developed some of these technologies and platforms are also trying to fulfill their own purpose, because they'll tell you part of their purpose or dream in life is for them to connect people. Like I remember when Mark Zuckerberg started Facebook way back, almost about 15 years ago, his dream was he dropped out of school and he wants to connect students across different universities. And from there, he wants to connect the entire world, and he's pushing the front. So you can see the consistency. You can see the consistency starting from small and building up to a greater height, and then now controlling the whole world. And very soon, alongside with Elon Musk and other people who are collaborating at that level, they are going to move into other planets. And this is exactly what it means to be promoting personal brand, right? The simple tasks you can also do for yourself in promoting two technologies for you to have a website. And many things come with this on itself. You have your business card, you have your website, emailing. You have your emailing gives you a proper way to communicate and manage communication effectively using technology. Once you have a website, you can easily create your email streams, different email streams. You can have it specialized or specifically tailored for different aspects of yourself. We have for information gathering, you have for admin, you have for whatever it is that brand is all about, you can tailor into different areas. Then now move into the dimension of social media, which again, I will advise you have to be very, very careful. Select the right tool of the social media that you want to use. And sometimes you can even outsource the management so that that doesn't now take all the time away from you, because you have to also now think about leveraging on your time management skill, because this can as well become a distraction in your journey if care is not taken. Many people now spend more valuable time creating so-called valuable content on social media, and they abandon other aspects of their life that is supposed to do, because all these things are time consuming. So you need to now begin to find a way by which you have to integrate in your plan on how you want to leverage on these tools. As good as they may be, they can also be bad in its essence if they are not utilized adequately or they are not utilized meaningfully. So these are part of the things that you now begin to redefine for yourself. Um, I want to show us how you can now transit. Imagine now you are out there, right? People are beginning to perceive, they're beginning to interact with your brand. How can you now turn that around for your own good? How can you turn that around and control the narrative, so to speak? How can you control the narrative to create an impact and leverage for yourself? You know, the power of networking is one of those things. I've mastered the art of using LinkedIn. If I'd had time, this is one of the things that I would have loved to take us through, for us to see at least one of these tools on how people can utilize them for their purpose. I mean, I've received in the past few years, I've received not, I mean, countless, I can't even remember how many. And at a point in time, I just had to block that stream, on my account on LinkedIn, that I just don't want to receive this kind of information again. Job opportunities consistently keep coming. Job opportunities consistently keep coming. So when people are saying, oh, they can't find job, I'm like, no, it's not that you can't find job. It's not that you can't find job. It's just that you cannot seize opportunity of the jobs that are available, always available. Every blessed day, there are job postings. Every blessed day, there are job employers, there are employers who are on LinkedIn seeking for those to employ. So the question is how to now connect the job seekers with the employers, right? The potential employees with the employers. That's where the bridge are, and that's where the problems are. And it is your personal branding that should be able to give you that kind of visibility without stress, that connect and that network will happen. So you need to follow up and ensure that you're in the right community, you use the right meta tags, you use the right, even when you are promoting yourself through your posts, through your articles, the kind of content you create, there are things that naturally should be able to sell you, should be able to promote you. What you know will not promote what you stand for, what you are seeking for. You don't post, you don't put out there, right? So that your tag, someone can go on any of the search engine, because your meta tags are now going to become part of what we'll be doing optimization for searching about your brand. So you don't want to put something there. Imagine today you are showing one bed, tomorrow you are showing another thing, another. I mean, it's going to be a confused brand that nobody wants to employ a confused brand, because at the end of the day, they know that you become a baggage, you become a burden to the organization or to their own brand, because you won't have enough. So these are part of the things. And the other way also in promoting yourself is for you to showcase yourself as a thought leader. What it means is that area of your passion that you don't need anybody to pay you for, that area of interest, right? That you are so strong heart that you don't need anybody to pay you for. You can begin to voluntarily have shared knowledge. You can begin to voluntarily communicate knowledge about those things. After all, you don't want to die with what you know. You have to communicate with people. You have to put it into bodies of knowledge that people can, relate with and embrace. So if you are posting, let it be that you are posting your passion, things that you've learned, like all this stuff that we've been doing for the past 40 days. I hope I'm going to be able to document them and probably even convert them into a book this is what thought leadership is all about, right? So you want to create articles, you want to create journals, you want to create speaking engagement, you want to, create talking points, fireside chats, conversations around some of these things, or even write articles in columns in newspapers that people can relate with and consistently push it out there. These are part of the things that will make people. In fact, before long, depending on the kind of platform, technology platform or social media platform you are using, they'll first of all recognize you before the public perception even recognize you. Like LinkedIn now will recognize you as one of the top leader. They will give you a role like that. Or if it's on YouTube, YouTube will tell you you have really impacted up to this point, and they will give you a medal. They will give you a recognition and all of. So this is part of things that, and imagine, I mean, I remember when I joined the Google network almost about 7 years ago, and I started doing Google. I'm trying to remember the name we called ourselves then. You create videos, pictures, and you put. So when you are using Google Maps, right? We are the ones that have all those pictures. You see all those pictures, and if you want to test when you're using Google 3D, Google Map 3D, you will see the pictures, the videos, the images of different locations, and the person that posted it on there for you to be able to relate and see it. So those are the kind of things. So we contribute. I mean, you can also subscribe because you have an account. You can also subscribe. Yeah, we call ourselves Google Guide, local guide, right? So I joined it, and it was just a passion. Anywhere I travel to, any location I go to, I take pictures, I upload it there. I start moving across different levels, different levels. Before long, I see people I mean, over millions of people, promoting and watching my pictures, and all of that, and giving comment on how it's helping them to navigate. And before long, I mean, people started relating with me like, okay, so am I good in graphics? Am I good in this? So these are part of the things that will enable is talking about thought leadership. And the more you work on this thing, the more it now begins to create credibility around your brand. That when people are looking for those that can be trusted in that particular field in the industry, they will always call on you. I've had opportunity, I think I mentioned it a few days ago in one of the sessions during COVID, how I had opportunity to enter into Metaverse to do some conferencing, to do some promotion of my brand and all of that. I've never for once, related at that level on AI and all of that. It was because of the credibility I gained on thought leadership, talking about AI, using my platform and my brand that made the Metaverse company to reach out to me and gave me the offer to come and participate in that free of charge, something that would have costed me almost about $12,000, free of charge for a whole week. So these are part of the things. Once you're able to build this credibility in the market, trust me, is just that the end to how you're going to grow will definitely be limitless. I'm going to skip this because normally I wanted us to just interact with it, but because of time, I'm going to skip this, and I will just rather open the platform up for us to give a feedback and also for us to be able to, share some kind of inclination, probably maybe in your own brand, if you have developed a brand for yourself, maybe how your brand has been able to help you gain some kind of opportunity, and then you've been able to leverage your needs for you to be able to climb different heights in life. So I'm going to stop here and ask for contribution, comments, question, or you want to subtract from any of the things I've said. Question, comment. Utsman, I see you have unmuted,
Thank you
but we
very much,
can't
sir, for
hear
this.
you. Oh, okay. Yeah,
Thank you very
please
much,
go
sir.
ahead.
So, what is one thing I really understand in this session all is right is about personality. I see that it keeps coming up every time we have the discussion, and it's really I'm really happy that it keeps coming up because it keeps touching each part of me that needs to improve, needs improvement, and just like showing me more ways about how to be oneself more the way it should be. So I'm really grateful for the sessions. That thank you very much. And another thing is that you made mention of putting one's brand outside if one does not have the what's it called, the inclination of where it is going from the beginning. So I wanted to like clarify that aspect for me, because it's looking a little bit confusing for me. That do you mean that one should not like bring out the brand from the what's it called, inception, the moment someone created the brand, or should just one have to wait till until one has what's it called, how do I put this now, like one has been in that particular brand for so long before one should bring it out. I mean, something like that.
Okay, initially I was trying to grab your question, but I think I got it now. So let me re-echo a few things I've said. The fact that you are promoting yourself, because that's what personal branding means. You are promoting yourself. Is your personality that you are promoting. That self is your personality, is you, who you are. You are not promoting someone else. And that's why I say you can't afford to be who you are not. Otherwise, that's what you are going to be promoting. So you can't be false. You have to just be true to yourself and follow all the exercises, the assessment, until you have laid hold of your true self. You have nothing to promote. And whatever it is you are promoting, you are doing disservice to yourself, because it will be hard and so difficult for you to start correcting in the future. By the time you now put, it's like you have been promoting false. Now you want to put the truth out. It will be more difficult and it will be an Herculean task to undo the promotion of the false and now begin to promote the truth, because people are already acquainted or they've perceived the false, and then they're now trying to kind of like switch over to the truth. So that's the kind of confusion that is going to set in. Then talking about, when I said you need to ensure that you don't jump out into the social media, that's the way I place it. Don't jump out into social media promoting a brand that you have not properly packaged. That's the word we use. You package yourself. You are not properly packaged yourself, simply because you don't even know yourself, or is the weak self that you know. What you need to package is a strong self, your strength. So if you have not properly been able to put that together, don't go out there to promote, because whatever it is you are promoting is going to be the wrong part of you. And it will take a lot of effort, and sometimes it might be costly. In fact, very, very costly for you to be able to start making damage control. So that's what I said, that take caution, because you find it so popular, so common online in the world. You see people having promoted many bad things about themselves, all in the name of they are catching crews or they are doing clout and all of that. Unfortunately, world's perception does not, exonerate such, right? Rather, it's been documented in the sand of time and in the heart of human perception. Even yourself, there are certain bad things that you've seen that you are still struggling. It's just only a matter of personal self-control that is making you to subdue those things. Those things are not going to be erased. They are there. If you have been involved in pornography, if you have been involved in social vices, all of those things, the only difference is just that you have been able to subdue and control yourself, but those things are still going to be there. That's just the reality. Psychologically, they are going to be there. But you have the power, you have the influence. So rather, wouldn't it have been better for you not to have exposed yourself to pornography rather than making it to become a struggle? Wouldn't it have been better for you not to have been involved in social vices, like getting involved in legalism, in thuggery, in cultism, and all of that, rather than for you to now be struggling with it and be finding a way by which you want to combat or fight the influence? And so those are the kind of things I'm talking about, because that's the same way it works when you put out the wrong brand and you are promoting it only for you to realize that, oh, it's the wrong self I've been promoting. Let me now put my right self there. Or I've been using a wrong message or a wrong mission statement. So let me now retract it. So you want to be sure of what you are putting out there before you start promoting. That's what I mean. I don't know if that answered the question.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Any other comments, any other question, any other contribution? Okay, I think we are going to stop here. I will just allow you to meditate on some of these things. If you have any personal question or any personal area of reference, you can reach out to me if you need help in any aspect of this exercise of personal branding. So the assignment is this: you need to create your mission statement. Please, you need to follow through this assignment. You have to create for this particular session, day 16. You create your mission statement because by now it's assumed that you've already established your purpose, you've created your personality list and all of that, characters, attributes. So you need to create your mission statement, right? And then simply design a personal brand for yourself. That personal brand, I mean, it depends on your creativity. So I'm not going to tell you specifically what you should do on the personal brand. So create a personal brand for yourself. It might just be that you want to do a short video. If you are doing a short video, let it be maximum of 1 minute. Don't do more than 1 minute. You can use any of the technological tools to do it. So if you do it, then you send it, or you send a link where I can see it. Then if you are using graphics, infographics, then create anything you want to showcase as your personal brand, maybe your logo, the template of your website, blah, 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 all these things. So do that and then share with me. That will be the assignment for the 2 things exercise for this day 16. Is that taken, or do I need to repeat that? Thank you, Dr. Folashade. Okay, I'll share it. I'm going to send it via the next communication. Peradventure, you want that to be reiterated. Okay, yeah, it is. So I want to see creativity. I want to see how you're going to challenge yourself, and if you think it's important for you to learn new skills. So this is exactly what this is all about. I'm not looking for perfection. I'm not looking for I mean, I just want you to be yourself, right? So that's what this is all about. So go ahead, create your mission statement and develop your personal brand, and let me see. Okay, so thank you, everyone. Tomorrow is another day.
Thank you so much, sir.
You're most welcome.
Thank you very much.